Commonwealth Bank, and it's AM 1160 WCCS and 101.1 FM. Just the other day, we had a couple of folks on talking about this event that is coming next week to the Kowalczyk Complex. It is the MARTI CBH Regional Opioid Research and Outreach Initiative. Did I term that correctly? That's an awful lot of words. And joining us in the studio, because I wanted to talk more about this subject. We could go on and on and on about this subject, actually. Alex Heckert, who is the Social Director of MARTI. Erick Lauber is the Director of Community Health and Leadership. And Crystal Deemer, give me your title again with this.
I'm the training coordinator, so I'm the one that kind of gets all this stuff rolling. All
right. Well, that's good, because we've got a lot to get rolling here next week. This event is happening Monday through basically noontime next Friday, correct?
Correct. And Todd, it's actually not at the Kowalczyk Center.
Oh, okay.
It's at the Humanities and Social Sciences building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a brand new building. It has wonderful accommodations, so it's going to be a nice venue.
Yeah, it really is. And just looking at the agenda through the course of the week, and talking with the gentlemen who were here the other day about what is going to be happening, it's tremendously broad in scope, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We have a lot of really good speakers that are international. We also have a fair number of speakers that have an IUP connection, some of whom are out there working in the world. And some of them you learn a lot, but also very funny. So they deliver the message in a way that's enjoyable, even though it's a very serious topic.
Well, that's the thing about this, is it can be approached from so many different angles. And at an event that is going to be as long as this is, with so many different presenters, there are multiple ways to approach this.
Yes, there are. Yeah. I also want to mention that we have a nationally known comedian, Gary Owens, who's been, I think, on HBO and some other TV spots, who's going to be speaking Wednesday night, July 12th, 4:45 to 5:45, and that's going to be open to the public. He had a brother die of heroin addiction, so he's going to speak from a personal standpoint. We don't know yet. We told him he doesn't have to be funny. We suspect it's going to be hard for him not to be funny.
Yeah.
And then the woman on Friday morning, she's really funny, even though she's a professional speaker. She might be the funniest one of the whole time. But we do want to welcome the community to come on Wednesday night to hear Gary Owens.
Well, that's very important. Erick Lauber, you are the Director of Community Health and Leadership, is that correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And you're going to speak specifically, you're one of the presenters, you're going to speak specifically about media and the role that it can play, or even has played so far in approaching the opioid problem that has stricken our area.
Correct. We kind of borrowed a national analysis of newspaper articles that have covered the drug addiction in other communities, and then we redid the analysis locally and found similar results. And that is the way journalists are trained to write their stories kind of presents a certain lens or certain frame about the drug issue, but it's not complete. And so we want to talk to the audience about telling better stories about drug addiction, and that includes talking about the causes and also talking about the solutions to it. We're not seeing a lot of that in the media currently, and we want to try to change that.
Well, yeah, and when you consider what defines media these days, it really becomes expansive, doesn't it?
It does. And when you consider social media, and a lot of the media in social media is created by non-experts, by just citizens, there's a huge spread of what people are saying, and I think one of the top issues is going to be stigma reduction. This affliction is something that families are suffering in silence, and I think we need to change that, because people aren't getting help because they're ashamed to talk about it. So.
I think one of the aspects of that as well is that when someone does open up about a problem such as this, they are so prone to attacks from people who are outside the issue and just want to use their anonymity to insert themselves into it.
And that's certainly occurring in social media. So I think all of us have to kind of fight back against that, but we need to do it kind of in an informed way, and that's part of what we want to hope to accomplish in that presentation.
Yeah. Crystal, you mentioned that you're the one who's actually going to start pushing this conference forward next week. Tell me what your role is going to be in making this all come together.
Well, I help welcome all the participants coming in. I make sure the speakers have what they need. I pretty much end up being all over the building.
Yeah, well, there are so many different areas in which you can have an influence next week to make sure that people get to where they need to go.
Correct.
We should mention that this is a conference for which people must be registered, correct?
This is correct. excuse me. The best way to register right now would be to go to the IUP Marketplace to register for the conference. They can call me at 724-357-1288. However, I still need to get them to the registration page.
Yeah, and you'll be able to help them do that if there are
Correct.
questions. There are continuing education credits available for people?
There are APA credits, there's PCB credits, there's NBCC credits, and there are PASW credits, as well as the academic credits that some students will want as well.
Yeah, and so somebody who is sitting out there this morning who doesn't really have plans to go and finds out that information, that there are credits that are available for them, do they normally work through their employer in order to do that, or do they just go directly to you?
Well, we'll have the paperwork at the conference registration table that they'll need to collect to actually, at the end of the conference, qualify for those credits.
Yeah, and Alex, you mentioned that for Gary Owens' presentation, that's open to the public.
Completely open to the public. And just picking up on what Crystal was saying, they can actually register Monday morning, the day of the conference, if they haven't registered ahead of time. Some of us are people that do things at the last minute. I've been known to do that. So we welcome them. Just don't tell conference services that we encourage people to do that, but we want as many people to come as possible.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, speaking with the gentleman the other day, that we got into was the fact that this is not only about opioids, but also the often connecting issue of suicide prevention.
Yeah, the double sort of whammy that's sort of out there in terms of crises in the United States right now would be opioid addiction and suicide. Sometimes there's a connection, sometimes there's not, but we're going to be featuring both of those problems.
And we have heard, and Eric, you can comment on this as well, we have heard about one of the aspects of the opioid epidemic, as it's been termed, is that it cuts across every social status, every age range. It doesn't matter. It can attack any person, and practically every family is affected by it.
Yeah, certainly. And in fact, collecting the data for this new initiative that we're launching, talked to Citizens Ambulance and a lot of other groups around here, and we're finding that it does affect every part of our community, every age range, every socioeconomic status. I don't think people are aware of how widespread it really is. And Indiana, regrettably, is kind of an epicenter of some of this heroin overdose issues.
Yeah.
So we've launched a larger initiative called OPAC, means Opioid Prevention and Community Health. The MARTI Institute is now heavily invested in trying to secure federal funding, other kinds of funding, private funding, to launch a much more comprehensive prevention program for the community. We also want to role model that for other rural communities, because not a lot of help is being provided to the rural communities in western Pennsylvania.
Yeah. We'll want to keep track of that here at the radio station and get you folks on often to talk about the progress in meeting those goals that you have and the events that you have coming up. So let's stay in touch about that, because that's going to be very important. When Governor Wolf and Senator White and Representative Reed and others gathered at the KCAC a while back, I think it's been over a year since that conference was held there, and identified some of the issues that are specific to Indiana County, they also began what is turning into a very long process of the state then developing strategies. Are you satisfied that we're going in the right direction, that we're on the right highway as we get toward solutions to this problem?
You know, it's going to be difficult in these budget times to throw enough resources at this issue, and I don't think we are throwing enough. But certainly the state recognizes the need, and we have to understand that the issue can be broken up in multiple ways. You can think about recovery for those who are struggling with this, treatment and recovery centers, but there's the big components, prevention. Yeah. And I don't think we're doing enough in prevention. I mean, we need to get people to stop starting this process.
Yeah.
So
you get rid of the demand, and you get rid of much of the problem.
Exactly.
Alex, when we get this thing going next week, that will obviously be part of it, that conversation. There will be conversations on and presentations on practically anything you can think of having to do with this struggle.
Yeah, there's going to be prevention and then intervention strategies, medicated-assisted treatment, which has sometimes been controversial. It's going to be the full range, prevention, intervention, and treatment.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's happening next week. It's happening right here in Indiana at the Humanities Building.
at the Humanities Building. Brand new building, so it's going to be really, really nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building. Too.
Yes, it is.
Wow, wow. Okay, Crystal, one more time. How can folks attend this?
You, I'm sorry. Get registered. Call me.
Okay.
Number again is 724-357-1288.
There you go. That's the way to start. I appreciate you all coming in this morning to be with us.
Thank you, Todd.
Let's visit with
Thank
you
you.
again on this topic as it continues to unfold, and we continue to attack it here in Indiana County. It is Indiana in the Morning, presented as always by First Commonwealth Bank here on AM 1160 WCCS and 101.1 FM.